At this Business Talk with Khalid and Marid on Afro FM 105.3, we'll be talking to policymakers, investors, business leaders, and entrepreneurs to bring you the latest development taking place in the Ethiopian economic and business climate, and more importantly, what it means to you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. This is Addis Business Talk with Khalid and Marid every Thursday morning on Effoi FM 105.3, the first all-English radio and podcast business show in Ethiopia. My name is Marid Bisrat, along with my co-host, Khalid Mawi. Thank you for joining us. The show is brought to you by Pragma Investment Advisory, an investment management and advisory firm based in Addis Ababa, along with our partners, Effoi Communications, a very prominent PR and marketing firm also based in Addis Ababa. In today's episode, we will be talking with Tsega Woubshet, also known as Gigi, the owner and CEO of Effoi Pizza Lounge, the famous local pizza chain in Ethiopia. Tsega, aka Gigi, welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you on Addis Business Talk, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me at this Business Talk, and Marid and Khalid. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
Pleasure.
To tell you my story. And
we'd love to hear it then. I'm sure we'd love to hear it. And our listener would love to hear it as well. So let's start our conversation by getting to know you. Tell us about yourself, your journey in life, what you used to do before you started Effoi Pizza. And we want to know, why do people call you Gigi? What's the name? What's the story behind the name Gigi? Let's start with that.
Okay, that's the easiest part. I was born in Addis in 1980. Okay. Which will take you right into the story of Gigi. When I was still in the hospital, my brother came to visit me, and at the time I was a chubby baby, and he called potatoes Gigi as a baby language. So he said, I look like a Gigi, and everybody called me Gigi from there on.
That's nice.
Yeah, so everybody knows me by Gigi. After that, I was educated in elementary school in Bethlehem public school, and I did my high school in Black Lion High School. Between college and high school, I had a bit of time off where I got to dabble with a few things, including design work and woodworking, those sort of things. And in 1999 European calendar, I joined the University of Toronto. I had the chance to move to Canada for education, and that's where I did my undergraduate degree in geology. After I did my studies, I came back here in 2005 and was working in a family business first. And then after the family business, I tried to start my own marketing and advertising company. And we had a platform on the radio. That's why I have such a love relationship with radio. We used to have a show on 98.1 FM called Revolutions Per Beat. We did that with some of my friends. And then in between doing that, it wasn't the marketing and advertising sector wasn't as ripe as it is right now. So I was facing challenges to continue with the business. So that's when Effoi came about.
Excellent, Gigi. That's definitely a fascinating story. I think many of us are really curious about how you became a geologist turned pizza specialist, right? So if you could tell us the backstory of Effoi, the brand name and the meaning behind it, the idea and the inspiration to start a pizza chain. What sort of services do you offer? And I know it's not limited to just pizza. And And so if you can just give us your insight about that.
Like I told you, I was when I was doing marketing, I also needed another business to pay the bills. And at the time, there was really a lack of places to go out and have a nice food and drink in Addis. So, pizza was in particular, but I've always been passionate about cooking. And this came from my college days when I was living by myself, and I learned how to cook. And then I was living with roommates from different countries, so we cooked together, experimented with different styles of food. So my cooking skills were improved after college. So when we came here, and I started a bit, my wife also moved to Ethiopia with me, and we were looking at different food businesses that we can get into. And during that time, I ended up finding the first Effoi location that I'm sure everybody remembers. It's in what is called Chechnya. It was a small place in a 3+1 setting. So it was a humble beginning. It was good to start with a small place. But the pizza part came because me and my wife used to go out on dates in different restaurants in Addis, and every time we go out, and we mostly go out for pizza, and we ask for different. We go to different restaurants, and we look at their menu, and they always have the standard pizza offering that you find anywhere else in the world. Mostly in Europe and North America. Those pizzas have, the Napolitana, Quattro Stagioni. They always have not only they imported the pizza concept, but all the names and the ingredients were also imported. But because of the limitation with importation, when you go to a lot of restaurants, you ask for some items, so the toppings, either you're given something that's not what it is, or you're told this is not available. So we understood that was because of the limitation of the supply market in Addis Ababa. So we figured we can make a good pizza based on ingredients that are available locally. So we went and renovated the place, and we started working on the menu. So when we did that, some of them we picked the ones that are popular from abroad, but also mostly incorporated our own recipes based on what we found here. And then after we made up the recipe, we figured if these are pieces that are made with local ingredients, we can just call them local names and give them unique local names that people can relate to in a way most people do. And that ended up being our best move, because it was easy for people to catch on to the pizza and the Effoi vibe right away. So the first place, Foye, we worked there for about 5 years, developed a good customer base, and then the demand came for us to expand because people were coming from far places in Addis to have our pizza. So our first branch was ended up being in Sarbet, which was what the market demanded at the time. So it took us 5 years to open the second branch of Effoi. And after the second branch, we've been able to open at least one branch every 2 years. And now we have 4 branches operating, and we have one mobile kitchen, pizza kitchen, and within this year we plan to open 2 more branches for Addis residents.
Great story indeed, Gigi. If you can maybe for our international audience, tell us about what the meaning behind the word Effoi is and how you came up with the name.
Okay. Effoi is, it's not, it's hard to say it's a word. It's a sigh that most people know after a long day. Ethiopians like to say Effoi. And at the time, my wife was also working as a kindergarten teacher, and she always heard that term being used, Effoi, people saying Effoi after work, and she'd always been curious about it. And one day we were having a conversation. She asked me, "What does Effoi mean? Why do people say Effoi?" And I told her it's a state of being, which ended up also being our tagline. So Effoi, so that we wanted the customers to come and say Effoi and be themselves when they come to our place. So that concept was adapted into the business, and we had a small restaurant and also a small lounge on the first floor. But the name and the place fit together like a jigsaw puzzle, and a lot of people liked it. So we continued with that.
Excellent. You seem to be a, if I may say, a multidisciplinary person. And I think we all know that Ethiopian entrepreneurs rarely stick to one line of work. So if you can just tell us about some of the other important ventures that you are involved in. Of course, I think a lot of people may not know that you also own and operate Joma Grill and other projects that you're involved in. If you can just cover that aspect.
Okay. So as I mentioned, from childhood, I've been exposed to a lot of things, and what I liked, I always put my mind to it and made a point that I learned it. So even before high school, after high school, before college, I was into the designing and woodworking. I was working as a graphic designer at a couple of places. I had that background, which became really handy when I opened up Effoi, because all the design, all the woodwork at the first Effoi, I did it myself with the help of a couple of other people. So the woodworking and the restaurant business ended up being really it feeds off each other, because I believe wood is, when it comes to restaurants and like these public places, gives this warmth and comfortable feeling for people. So that I ended up using a great deal all the way up to this point of Effoi. Even after Effoi, I together with a couple of friends, we had a wood workshop called Taza Designs. We were doing modern furniture. We called it Taza Designs. The tagline was modern Ethiopian living. So our concept was, at the time, condominiums were growing. So there was a niche market to address small furniture that can be used in that environment, within the condominium environment. It was a good experience. Our idea really took off. People really liked it. But at the time, we couldn't sustain it because of lack of capital and our workshop being transferred to another party. So we couldn't continue the woodworks separately on its own, but still use it whenever we do a new Effoi or any other restaurant or specialized customers. We still serve those people. So after Effoi, though, based on our consumption, I started learning a great deal about our supply chain. So recently, I started 2 other ventures that complement the Effoi business model, which is like vertically integrating the most important parts of our produce, which is meat and cheese. So that's how Choma Grill came about, because between the 4 Effois, we were using a great deal of meat and processed meat products like sausages and salami. So instead of getting those from different vendors as our demand grew, we opened this separate Choma Grill company, which now supplies all the meat required for all the Effois. And it also has what we used to not use, or the prime cuts. We serve them at Choma Grill, but for everything else, like the ground beef and the sausages and the salami, we are using the supply from Choma. It's been a great experience, and it works really good. So in the middle of doing that, I also got involved in a dairy venture in Debre Birhan, which will soon start producing cheese, our cheese, which is the most important supply we have for our pizza. So the 2 of them together will help us grow Effoi even further, because we'll be controlling those key ingredients that are crucial for the quality of our pizza, but at the same time, we benefit from them as well.
Interesting, Gigi. Very interesting. You are very multidisciplinary. You started Effoi back in 2007. Now it's almost 13 years ago, right after the Ethiopian Millennium Celebration.
We actually opened on the Ethiopian Millennium Eve.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting. That's nice. So, like,
yes,
it's really good.
It's memorable. Every time I talk about the Millennium, it's always think about opening Effoi that night when everybody else was partying. And now, 2 concerts, I was opening Effoi that night.
Wow, that's very interesting. That's really nice. So it has been 13 years. So since that humble beginning, now you have 4 outlets in Addis Ababa, and you're about to open 2 very soon. In all these journeys, opening up the outlets, building the supply chain, making sure the pizzas are consistent in terms of taste and service as well. What sort of challenge did you face as an entrepreneur running Effoi, running your business. Do you think that the business environment has changed, has become very suitable for entrepreneurs like you compared to 13 years ago?
Well, this is particularly to the service industry that I can speak of.
Yeah.
And I would say definitely as a country too, we've gone through a lot of change. One of our first challenges was finding consistent supply of goods. 13 years ago, there's always a shortage of something, including flour. So at times, I would have to drive to Burayu to find flour for the business. And the same was well, we still have sugar shortages. We use that for our tea, but so we have to find a way to fill those gaps. And within it, even the fresh vegetables, despite our climate being suitable to grow produce all year round, some things were only available at certain times, and they disappear and they come back. So we always had to find a way to mitigate those challenges within the supply chain, and we still do. But slowly, also by becoming a supplier, we're curbing those right now. As far as starting and growing a business, 13 years ago was actually a much easier period because there was very little competition. The service sector was still maturing, so the availability of places to open up anything you want was easy, and also finding people to work in your business. But over the last 13 years, that has actually become a challenge as the service industry grew. The side support, like I said, finding real estate and even building up the place and finding new employees did not grow together, I believe. So we had to share think a lot before we make a decision about a place, about the profitability of it. And finding the goods itself to build out a restaurant has, within the construction industry, that has become very exaggerated compared to what it took me to open up the first Effoi. As far as government policies go, this is still the same challenges, but as an Ethiopian, I think that's something we all expect, and we always get through at any cost, you can say. So with that, we really haven't seen that much change for our sector.
Gigi, definitely a set of challenges that I think is commendable of you to have overcome and remain in business as of now. I think with respect to COVID-19, it's evident that the restaurant business has been hit by the effects of the pandemic, especially early on as it began to spread in Ethiopia. If you could perhaps briefly tell us about some of the challenges you faced running your restaurants and the measures that you took against the potential spread of the virus in your facilities. Maybe just back to back. Was there any difference in terms of the delivery business that you were also running with Effoi? Did you see any pickup in terms of orders as it did with other delivery businesses?
Yeah, definitely. COVID-19 was something that none of us saw coming, and at the beginning we had no idea how it would affect us. But as the pandemic started spreading all over the world, we were cautious of what was happening in other countries, like the closure of businesses and especially restaurants, that sort of thing. We were already aware. And when it came to Ethiopia, nobody knew how this virus was going to spread. So because our places are always busy and packed with people, to take precautions, we decided to close all our branches and focus on the delivery side of the business. When I say close, we just closed the restaurant, but we were doing takeout and delivery. So with every crisis comes an opportunity, and the opportunity here for us was to grow the delivery business. And in Ethiopia, the delivery business is still, I would say, infant. It has grown tremendously since COVID came, not just for us, but for other delivery companies as well. But for developed countries in North America, delivery business has always been it's besides the people that come into the restaurant, it's always a big thing. People like to enjoy, especially pizza, they like to enjoy at home. So what we did was we partnered with different delivery companies at the start of the pandemic, and they were doing a great job with promoting the delivery idea. On the side, we also we had a delivery business that wasn't promoted well, but after that we promoted it to customers and even started offering free delivery. Because the restaurant is closed, we offered free delivery to our customers. So over time, the delivery started picking up and actually kept us afloat. We didn't need to worry about what our next move was going to be. We knew the delivery would sustain us for the time that we're not active. But after a while, after we saw the spread, we took measures to make our restaurants COVID-19 safe. So we took out furnitures and made it small seating, also limited the number of people that sit at a table, with all the hand washing, mask wearing precautions, and also within the kitchen, trying to make our kitchen staff aware of the contaminations that can come and limit those where they should be. So we opened up eventually. So after we opened up, we noticed that our delivery business has actually grown to cover around 30 to 40% of our current business. So in a way, it has allowed us to adapt to this new business models to wherever people are and working on expanding that.
Interesting. That's very interesting, Gigi. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. In just 1 minute, tell us, where do you see the future of Effoi?
The future of Effoi is tied to the future of Ethiopia. And right now, Ethiopia is one of the best countries to be in to do business, because we have large population, growing economy, and still limited service giving businesses. So as we continue, we see that this trend also continuing and allowing for more people to join the job in the business sector, creating the middle class and above, which are mostly our target customers. As that grows, there is opportunity to expand our outlets to not just within Addis Ababa, but also other growing parts of the country. So based on that, we're working on a strategy to open up to 20 stores within the coming 3 years, different parts of Addis and the major towns outside Addis. So as part of that, we can say we're soon we'll have a branch in the Labu area, which has become its own urban center, and that will continue with other parts of Addis, which will create their own urban centers. People don't have to come to Bole anymore to entertain themselves. They are always staying around their local hoods. So the growth of those urban centers is a great opportunity for us. We'll take that. And the delivery business will also grow side by side. Hopefully within the same time period, we would like to expand to regional markets around Ethiopia. That being said, there's also competition now. The markets are opening up. There are local as well as international competitions coming into the market. So we have to really work hard to stand above the competition, and as a local brand, promote Ethiopia and also Effoi for the rest of the world.
Such a wonderful vision, Gigi. That unfortunately wraps up our segment. Tsega Woubshet, also known as Gigi. I can assure everyone that he's not chubby anymore. The owner and CEO of the famous Effoi and the amazing Joma Grill, among other interesting projects that he's running. We're all obsessed with your food, I have to be honest, Gigi.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to keep you addicted.
Thank you very much for joining us on Addis Business Talk, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much for having me. I also wish you guys are doing a great job promoting the business environment for our country, and I look forward to every single episode that you bring every week.
Thanks. Excellent. Thank you very much, Gigi. You have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.